Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new episode of our online interview series. We want to talk for the first time to Chris Frostad, the CEO of Purepoint Uranium. And uranium is hot, uranium is shining. Chris, how are you? Good morning.
Well, very good, because uranium is shining, of course.
Absolutely, it is. Purepoint Uranium, you are now also a member of our Swiss Resource Uranium Special Report. This is why we are also doing the interview, to introduce you to our audience here. And what is the company about? Give us a short overview, please.
Well, we're a uranium exploration company. We've been operating in northern Saskatchewan, Canada, for 15 years or so. So we're well versed in the area. We're in an area where all of Canada's uranium comes from right now, and certainly the highest grade uranium on the planet. We have a pipeline of about 9 projects, 2 of which are joint ventures we have with Cameco and Orano, 2 of the largest uranium suppliers in the world. And we recently did a transaction slightly outside of the uranium space, but in the neighborhood with a neighboring company called Foran Mining, who has developing a large copper zinc project in the province, and they are earning in on some property we have right next door to them. So it's been an interesting time right now in Saskatchewan.
Okay, super. And I saw in the news they also bought into it like 7 million shares at 5 cents. So is this like a beginning, or did they say, hey, wow, this is so interesting, we want to have shares, but also the stake in the project?
All of that. they
Okay.
they certainly wanted to earn into the project. It's right on trend and right neighboring their a mine that they're developing. So it's an important piece of real estate for them to hold and work, and they are committed to working it over the next few years. But in the meantime, they also wanted to, seeing as what were things going on in uranium, have some exposure to the uranium front as well. So we arranged for them to. For a small financing so that they could hold some of our shares as well.
Super. Would that also mean that they pay for some exploration in the
They're
future?
paying for all of the exploration in the future.
Wow.
So again, because this is outside of uranium, it's a project that we picked up during the low time in uranium, but it was again in the neighborhood. And since we picked it up, they've been advancing that mine, developing that mine quite aggressively, and worked it right up to our claim line. So again, it's a piece of property that they need to hold, and we're happy to work with them, and they'll be investing $6 million over the next 6 years. And if things go well, we'll be seeing a lot more money at the end of that as well. So it's for us, it's a good side hustle, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fully understood. That's great. I mean, you have so many projects. There's the question where to start. Maybe we start with the Smart Lake joint venture, because you announced the winter program there. So what's going on there?
We are. Well, Smart Lake is a project we have it's a joint venture with Cameco. We own 27%. We're the operator. But it's also a project that we haven't been working for the last 10, 12 years, because it sits right next door to our Hook Lake project, which is where NextGen and Fission have been identifying significant deposits up that Patterson corridor. So we've been spending most of our time and energy over there in the last few years. But given what is happening in that area, and there seems to be a large uranium district now opening up on the other side of the province, we've been working with Cameco to get back there. We're doing a geophysical program this winter to identify and define some more drill targets. We did drill that project once, 12, 13 years ago. We did start to hit uranium. But as things were lighting up next door, we moved all our attention over there. So we're thrilled to be back there and get that project really ramping up again this year.
Okay, super. When I look at your map of the Hook Lake joint venture, which is also with Cameco Orano, as you said, it's very close, all with Fission, with NextGen. I've been there at the Fission Triple R deposit at Patterson Lake in 2014, and damn, it was like minus 35 degrees. Jesus,
Yeah, a
it
little
was
cool up
so
there.
cold. But if I look at the map, wouldn't it make sense if Cameco and Orano consolidates that whole district?
Well, it depends. I mean, right now you've got in NextGen, which is probably the most advanced of the activity going on out there. They've got their Arrow deposit. Their stock is currently trading at about at well over their NAV. So it's a very popular and highly valued company. And so, whether Cameco is going to step in and pick them up, we'll see. I'm not sure whether that's necessarily in the cards or makes
Hmm.
the most sense for them right now. They are focused mostly on the eastern side of the province, where all of
Hmm.
their operations are. Um, and the same with fission. Whether fission and NextGen get together. I mean, there's about 350 million pounds of uranium sitting in there, so it definitely is going to make sense at some time to be possibly operating those in tandem.
Hmm.
But I think right now Cameco and Orano are focused on us opening up even more resources in that area, and that's why we'll be drilling back there in January at Hook Lake.
Hmm.
We finished a winter program earlier this year that
Hmm.
where we just started to come into looks like another mineralization zone. So we've got our marching orders from them a few weeks ago, and we'll be back there with a drill in January to follow up on that and see what
Hmm.
we're stepping into.
Is that the drilling on the Carter corridor?
That's the Carter
Hmm.
corridor. So there's our project has three distinct corridors of its. They're graphitic conductors, which is it's graphite in the basement rock that is our primary target, and the
Hmm.
focus to date has been on the center one, which is the Patterson Lake corridor, and that's where Fission and NextGen found their resources. That's where we've identified a Spitfire deposit and a few other mineralized areas. But we're working now on the corridor to the west, which is
Hmm.
closer to what is now known to be the heat source. It's what we drilled once about, again, 12, 13 years ago and started to come into mineralization, but we followed the action, and we're
Hmm.
now this last year is the first year of us back there drilling, and we're very hopeful that we're starting to get into quite a significant zone.
Hmm. Okay. You also have the Red Willow project, which you own 100%, which is also of high interest because you have nobody in a joint venture. You must not give something away. So, what's the status there, and what are the plans for next year?
Well, all of our other projects on the eastern side of the province, which is where all the mines are currently. That's where all of the mines have been to date for the most part, and it follows that trend. We sit right along that trend. Red Willow does, but it's a fairly large project.
Hmm.
We own 100% of all of our projects on that side of the province. This one in particular, because of its size, we have about 8 or 9 distinct different areas, targets that require our drill testing, and we've worked our way through a couple of those. But now we're going to be back this year and moving further into the nest there and seeing what the rest of it shows. We're right at the edge of the basin, if you will, so it's not very deep drilling. It can be dealt with fairly quickly. It
Hmm.
does require helicopters, so that kind of makes it a little more expensive. It also means that we have to do it more towards the summer months when the days are longer.
Hmm.
But it also means that we're going to be able to get up to our Carson Lake project as well, which is just to the north of Red Willow. So if
Hmm.
we've got if we're in the air up there with a drill, we'll make sure we land it up there once or twice as well, and start our drilling up there.
Hmm. Okay, so if you, I mean, we could also talk about several other projects, but that would be maybe too long. But just for the viewers, where do you see the fastest value coming up, and what would be, let's say, like a future strategy? Because you have so many really large projects, which could be a little bit tricky in the future to explore them all together for, let's say, a yeah, smaller exploration company.
Well, and not necessarily. It's the thing with exploration is it is a process, and
Hmm.
if we've learned anything from Cameco and Orano, you do have to pace yourself. You do have to make sure that you're digesting and interpreting the data that you
Hmm.
collect before you start going out collecting more, and
Hmm.
that's certainly true with drilling. You don't want to be prospecting with a drill. So a lot of what we do is seasonal. There's certain
Hmm.
projects that are more accessible in the winter than in the summer, and vice versa. So that allows us to stagger things out. We plan out our programs in a manner that allows us to maximum learning, and I mean we're always looking for that deposit, but we're always focusing on honing in on specific areas. So we're not just out there poking holes as fast as possible, and it allows us to work a number of projects in tandem.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, I mean, we'll be back out at Red Willow this spring probably, and Carson doing some drilling out there, which we've already got our drill program aligned and our targets sorted out. Turner Lake is another one that is right next door to ISO Energy's Hurricane deposit. which is now the largest grade deposit in the world. And we need to get up there. But again, that's later summer drilling. That's the best time and the only time to get up there. So we'll be doing that
Mhm.
then. And then we have our Tabbernor projects, which is now turned into our largest project. But it's an earlier stage project. So
Mhm.
we've been doing a lot of preliminary geophysical work. We've
Mhm.
actually been expanding the claims there as we do more geophysics. We realize that we need more of that property to cover the entire target area. So all of these things are moving along at about as fast a clip as you really want to do effectively and
Mhm.
reasonably. But
Mhm.
we still do want to move them all as fast as we can.
Yeah, so the others is more like the future of drilling 25 and 26.
I don't know. It might not be that far off. I mean, we've gotten all of our projects for the most part as close to drill ready as we can,
Mhm.
and so we want to now continuously be drilling and drilling and looking for that next drill program
Mhm.
and prioritizing
Mhm.
our work and making sure that we're always drilling in what we think is the
Mhm.
the highest priority
Yeah.
for identifying a deposit.
Great. So drilling costs money, of course, and we know exploration companies dried out a little bit in the last 12 months as the market dried out.
Really,
Well, as far as I saw.
what
Um,
happened?
yeah, well, nobody wanted to do something. Well, cash on hand is 1.5 million, what I see in your presentation, but you get now from foreign money. So what is the plan here to
Well,
make sure that you guys can really drill?
yeah, we announced a financing about a week ago of
Mhm.
2.5 million. It is going far better than we expected. I think as we
Mhm.
get close to the end of the year, we're seeing and we see over the last month what's been going on in uranium, and uranium prices have really
Mhm.
been ticking up. And so we're in the middle of a financing as we speak, and
Mhm.
that will give us adequate funds to do as much work as we need to do, certainly over the next 12 months and beyond.
Super. Insider ownership is 7.3% roughly, institutional 20%. Can you
Mhm.
say which institutions are in?
They're primarily Canadian flow through funds. Right.
Okay.
So I
Mhm.
mean, we live and die on flow through over here. Which is a tax
Mhm.
advantaged way of raising money. It provides investors in our private placements with an immediate tax reduction.
Mhm.
So it's we can usually charge a premium for those on those placements, and and uh, and and uh, and so we are dealing primarily with funds like a Marquest, like Sprott.
So, last but not least, shortly, what's your view on the uranium market? I mean, it looks really good.
The market has been very good. Oddly enough, as we've seen uranium prices ticking up over the last year, the overall markets have not been doing well. And I think uranium's probably held on better than most. But in the last month or so, as we see the spot price at least going over $80, and the long term going over 66, I think we're really at that tipping point where demand is now obviously growing at an exponential rate, and we haven't been doing a whole lot of production over the last 10 years. So we're as we hedge into that supply gap, I think we're going to see uranium prices really take a swing,
Mhm.
maybe overswing in the next 12 to 18 months, if not sooner. And certainly the equities that are involved in that are going to do very, very well. So we're looking forward to a very good year next year on a lot of fronts. We're going to be doing a lot of work. We're going to be raising all the money we need to do that work,
Mhm.
and I think the markets are going to reward us for that at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I see it the same way. Chris, thank you very much for the insight into your company. Good luck with the financing, but I think you will not have any trouble to get that really close now, even it's December, because uranium is hot and we
There
need
you
a lot of exploration for future mines. That's also for sure.
Absolutely. Thank
Super.
you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris Frostad, the CEO of Purepoint Uranium. You heard it, a explorer from the Athabasca Basin, the world's, yeah, how can I say that? The world's Saudi Arabia for uranium, I would call it. And this is exactly what we need for the future because demand is really rising and rising in uranium. We will have deficits for a long time. By the end of the decade, we anticipate already 1.5 billion pounds of cumulated deficit, and it might be more. So this is exactly what we need. The company looks really interesting, is in the perfect spot, in the perfect jurisdiction, and they are raising the money to really drill and hit the drill hard next year. So you should have a look onto it. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.